Welcome back to our Plants vs. Zombies series about systems thinking. So today we're going to take a look at a feature inside the game referred to as the Almanac. And the Almanac gives you a listing of all the different plants that you have available to you. What you see in front of you is the full list of what the game has available. And then it gives you details about each different plant. So, if you actually take a look through this, you can kind of in your head plan out your own strategy or your own system of how you're going to build your moat, how you're going to build your defenses, how you're going to build up your income or your production capacity. And so there's a couple of different ways that they have, because there's a number of different settings for this game. So they start you with this, your sunflower, as your basic unit for gaining solar power, which is what makes it possible for you to buy any of these other plants in the game. Now, that works great for daytime because you also have sun coming down from the sky. But if you happen to be going through a nighttime board where there's no longer sun coming from the sky, they give you a cheaper option, which is this sun shroom. And it starts out very, very little, and then over time it grows to the same production level as the sunflower. And then to take it one step further, if you're going into really, really hard battles and you're going to need very expensive things, like this $300 bad boy or that $250 bad boy, and you're going to need a bunch of them, you can ramp up your production with this twin sunflower. And so that's going to produce, so whereas a regular sunflower, one solar unit is 25, the twin sunflowers are going to release 50 or 2 solar units each turn. And so it's worth noting that if you want to get to higher level things, you need to ramp up your solar production, and this is a big way of doing it once it's available to you. Now, there's also, as you can see, a whole number of different vehicles for attacking. So we've got shooters, fume shooters, long distance shooters, pea shooters, catapults, water shooters, all manner of things that can fire at the enemy. And it gives you the different details on what these do. And then there's modifiers to those shooters. So this torchwood, for example, doubles the power of whatever you're shooting out. These things will shoot in 5 different directions. This will shoot in 3 different lanes. This will shoot both ground and air items. So there's different capacities for each of these different plants. So if you know what you're coming up against, then you know that some of these are going to be more useful for you than others. And so understanding what resources are available to you becomes very important for building the right system for the right situation that you may find yourself in. Now, this is all well and great, and thankfully the game designers had all of this in mind when they built the game. But if you're doing this in building a business, this becomes way more complicated because there is a never-ending supply of tools, of software, of different packages and bundles and services that are offered to business owners. And it's literally never-ending. For any item you can think of, there's anywhere from 5 to 20 varieties of it available for business owners. And the question of which is the right one, which one works best, which one is the cheapest but still gets the job done, which one has the best uptime so it's not going to be down and cost me business, which one has the best support so if I have questions I can get them answered. This is a very real and a very big issue for business owners in general, because there's a lot of things that technology can do for us. But the reality is, if it's completely new technology, it may actually result in more problems for us than it solves problems if we manage to pick the wrong one. So again, I know I've mentioned this, but having a business coach or a business mentor that can help you kind of sort through these things, as well as having some IT or computer related friends who might be able to help you differentiate between all the tech speak of these different software packages and whatnot, becomes incredibly useful, because it's going to save you a lot of time and energy in picking out which is right for you. But it's also going to save you a lot of trial and error in going through software, services, packages, technology that may not be right for you, or may require a lot more effort on your part to get any value out of than the product was worth. It may have been worth spending an extra 5 or 10% for the product to save you a whole lot of effort to try and make that product work. So again, one of the big things we want to take a look at when we're building out our systems is what's the right tool for the job we have ahead of us. What's the right tool that works with the environment that we're in, with the challenges that we're facing, and with where we are in terms of our available capacity. Because these items down here in the pink, these are some of the most powerful items in the game. But the reality is that most of them recharge pretty slowly, and they cost a lot of money. So if you're depending on having 4 or 5 of these bad boys, and you don't have anything until you have 4 or 5 of these bad boys, you could get overrun very easily waiting on these things to materialize. And so that kind of brings me to the next part of this almanac, or this key, that I wanted to bring up. So I mentioned there's an entry for each one of these potential plants. Well, let's just take a quick look at some of the things that it will tell us. So one of the things that it'll tell us for attacking items is how much damage does it do. And it doesn't give you like a 1 through 10, so it's not objective, but it gives you a relative level of damage. So this repeater, it shoots 2 Ps at a time. That's what it means by firing speed 2x. So basically, this one shoots 1, this one shoots 2. If you can get all the way up to this one, it'll shoot 4 at a time. And so it gives you an idea of how much damage it's doing to the attackers that are coming at you. But it's also going to give you some other information. One, how much does it cost? So if you're building out a strategy and you want something to be part of your early tools, your early waves of system building, then you need to know you're going to be able to afford it. And if you don't have enough income or enough production capacity to put up 200 solar units 4 or 5 times, then you might have some difficulty using this in your system. Also worth noting, how fast does it recharge? You may have remembered from the examples we showed before, is that once you plant one of these, it takes a certain amount of time before the next one is available. So when something says recharge fast, that's great, because it probably means that by the time you have enough solar units to get another one, it will be available. Whereas if you were to try to get the upgrade of that shoots 4 at a time, as you can see, that recharge is very slow. So you're not going to get to build these up nearly as fast as you will the 2-shooter ones. And that's also something you want to make sure that you're accounting for, because it could completely mess up the timing of you building out your system. Some other things worth noting. There are some items, both in the game but also in business, that only really work in certain environments. They're built for a specific environment. And while they could be useful in other environments, you would need to have some kind of adapter or some kind of switch that allows it to work in a non-native environment. So if we look at the items on this row, every item on this row was built for nighttime battles, whether that's nighttime in the front yard or nighttime in the backyard. They were meant to be used for nighttime battles. Now, can they be used during the daytime? Yes, they can. But in order to use it during a daytime, you would need to have one of these coffee beans to wake it up. So it's worth noting, what are the things that go, what are the accessories? What are the additional requirements of using particular items? Because those can make a difference. So here's a listing. This is kind of a listing of available resources that we can put into whichever system we decide to design in order to combat the challenges, the enemies, the zombies that are coming at us in any given board. I hope you've enjoyed this. Please stay tuned for the next video where we'll talk about the almanac for the bad guys, the almanac for the challenges that you have ahead of you, because understanding them is every bit as important as understanding the resources that you have available to you.